Okay, so get this. Almost half of people make New Year's resolutions each year, but only 9% of them successfully keep those New Year's resolutions.
Under double digits still. Now, rather than falling into self-criticism, though, there may be a healthier way to make sense of the resolution relapse. And
like that word.
Here are some wise words of wisdom about self-compassion from Natalie Pickering. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Self-compassion.
How are those resolutions coming?
I made none. So
That's good. Okay.
He doesn't even try anymore. He's not even in the game. He doesn't want to be part of the
That's not
statistic.
an unhealthy approach.
Yes.
Yes. Mine is doing well. Mine is doing well.
Good.
My January is to just organize, and then my February is when I start my resolution.
Nice.
So I haven't even gotten there
So
yet.
you do a settling in.
Yeah. I feel like January is a little overwhelming in itself. So it's hard to which I think is why we see those statistics.
It's true. It's true. Most people don't even get through January, for their resolutions, and there are reasons why that is. We know what good goal setting is, and it might just be the timing. But I think what happens is then people, if they don't do their resolution or they don't meet their goals, there's a lot of inner critic berating that can happen.
Yeah, Chris and I both had that. We're threes, remember?
Exactly. So
yeah, we're very hard on
Enneagram
ourselves.
3s is going to be really hard on themselves. I'm an Enneagram 1. We actually share that. And 3s are really goal oriented. So if you don't meet the mark, then that inner critic can really pick up sometimes.
And I told you, no one wants to meet my inner critic.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even want to meet my inner critic sometimes, but because there are times I think stepping back as I get older and look at myself, I think I'm harder on myself than other people are hard on.
Yes, and I think, so one strategy that I've used, I've named my inner critic, and her name is Edna.
Edna.
So we have full out dialogue sometimes, and she gets a little mouthy, and we've got to work on that sometimes.
So you got to simmer Edna down a little bit.
Yes. My inner critic gets a little snarky sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Push them back. How do we deal with that? How do we we want to achieve our goals? I mean, that's healthy.
Yes.
But we don't want to be so hard on ourselves that that we're punishing ourselves.
Exactly. So there's this interesting concept called self-compassion, right? And it's, there's 3 components, and I can talk about that. But I don't know, do you remember when self-esteem over the last 20 years was really pushed in schools, that we need to feel better about ourselves. And we actually learned that we can have too much self-esteem, right? Because it's based on succeeding. And so if my good or bad about how I see myself depends on success, we can get carried away. And our culture prioritizes success. And so it led to increased bullying, right? Even in schools, because kids were having unhealthy strategies about how to make themselves feel better. So there's been this whole shift to this idea of self-compassion. And even though I do make mistakes, even though I don't get it right all the time, it's how I relate to myself and treat myself a little more kindly.
I mean, when I was younger, and I played sports a lot when I was younger, and I would get really mad sometimes if I didn't play well. And it came out sometimes as being mad at other people, but it wasn't. It was mad at myself.
Yes.
And as I've gotten older, I've learned how to put that away. And I think that comes with age and it comes with experience. And sometimes you just got to say, it's been a bad day, but it's not. It's a good day, but it's been a bad day. Just let it go.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, we wouldn't talk to a friend that way, right? So even thinking about, if a friend made a mistake or if a friend, didn't meet their goal, how would we relate to that person? So that's a good frame. Why don't I talk to myself that way?
Give that a little bit to yourself as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
It's good advice.
Great advice.
I know. We're going to use that.
We are.
All right. And we're going to name your critics. We can talk about that.
I'll come up with a good name here in just a little bit. Hey, if you want some good information, yourhighestplace.com is where you can get some great tips, some really useful information.
Thanks for being here, Natalie.
Absolutely. Thank you.